What if Jim Hopper did not just survive the gate explosion by luck? We are all supposed to accept the quick version. He sacrifices himself at the end of season 3. The machine blows, Joyce cries, and then surprise, he is alive in a Russian prison, beaten up, but breathing.
You hear? American.
Your friend is stuck.
The fandom calls it a miracle. The show handwaves it with a "he jumped at the right second." But if you look at how D&D treats warlocks, and you look at how the Upside Down keeps pulling Hopper back in, that explanation starts to feel thin. I do not think Hopper just got lucky. I think, in that moment by the gate, he became a warlock. In D&D, a warlock does not get their power through study or birthright. They make a pact. They strike a deal with something bigger and darker than themselves. It can be a demon, a fae, an eldritch god, or even a force like Vecna. In exchange for service, they get to live. They get power. They get another chance. It is not always a formal contract. Sometimes it is a wordless bargain made in a moment of panic, a thought like, "I will do anything to survive this." Now think about Hopper on that platform. The machine is roaring. The gate is open. Everyone else who touches that energy is turned to dust. Hopper stays behind, looks at Joyce, and braces himself for death. The blast should erase him. Instead, he wakes up on the other side of the world, not dead, not even shattered, just broken enough to be owned. That is exactly the kind of thing a patron would do to mark a warlock. Save the body, claim the debt. From that moment on, Hopper's life is chained to the Upside Down. He does not get to move on. He does not get to retire to a safe little cabin with Elle and a beer. He gets thrown into a Russian prison that just happens to be feeding demogorgons. He gets dragged back into fights with creatures from the other side again and again. Hawkins has other adults, other cops, other soldiers, but the story will not let Hopper go. In D&D terms, he looks like a character whose patron is not finished with him. He is weirdly resilient. He survives torture, starvation, frostbite. He is beaten and burned and still gets back up. He is the one swinging the sword against the Demogorgon in the Russian pit, like some kind of grizzled fighter who just will not stay down. What if that resilience is the warlock's boon, the favor granted by the same dark power that spared him at the gate? Here is the theory. In the instant when the machine exploded, when gate energy rushed over him, something in the Upside Down reached out. It saw Hopper's pain, his anger, his belief that he has nothing left to lose, his willingness to die for others. And it made him an offer he did not fully hear. You want to live? Fine. You live. But from now on, you live in my story. Hopper wakes up in chains. The Russians are just the human face of a deeper game. Their Demogorgon experiments, their obsession with reopening the gate, all keep tying him to the same power that grabbed him on that platform. He is the warlock who signed without reading the pact. And that has a terrible implication for Season 5. It means Hopper is the one character who can walk very close to the heart of the Upside Down and not disintegrate instantly because he has already been marked. The patron recognizes him. It has a claim. He is not safe, but he is allowed closer than most. That is exactly the kind of piece you use in a final battle. Everyone else fights vines and monsters on the edges. Hopper is the one who can carry a weapon or a bomb or a plan right up to the base of Vecna's power. Maybe it is the gate. Maybe it is some core of the Mind Flayer. Maybe it is a machine that bridges their world and ours. The tragedy is that pacts do not end cleanly. In D&D, breaking from your patron often means dying or losing everything they gave you. There is always a cost. If Hopper uses the access this dark power granted him to sabotage it, he is paying that debt in the only currency that matters, his life. Picture it. The kids are fighting in the mindscape. 11 is facing Vecna. Will is using his connection. Max is in the cave. And somewhere deep in the physical tunnels of the Upside Down, Hopper is alone with whatever mechanism keeps this whole nightmare anchored. He has survived everything up to now because the patron kept him alive as a useful piece. For the first time, he chooses to act in a way that goes against the pact. He turns the power meant to sustain the Upside Down against itself. The Warlock uses the gift to poison the giver. He probably doesn't walk away. He probably knows that. That is what makes it hit. Hopper's story started with him losing a child to something he could not fight. It could end with him finally killing the thing behind all this, not as a random lucky cop, but as the man who took the deal and then broke it anyway. So I do not think Hopper is just the tough guy who will not die. I think he is a warlock who survived the gate because something on the other side claimed him, and the only way to truly end Stranger Things is for him to use that claim one last time and break the pact for good. Whether you want Hopper to live his cabin ending or go out in a blaze of glory, tell me in the comments how you see his final stand. And if you are still watching, drop Warlock Hop down below so I know you are part of the party.
You don't like it?
No.
What's wrong?
I wish I was still with you.
I know. Me too. But I'll see you tomorrow, all right? First thing.
Tomorrow.
Curfew.
Let's go. Good luck.
What if Stranger Things has been lying to us about who really powers 11? We are all supposed to believe the same thing. 11 is the battery. 11 is the nuke. She reaches inside herself, finds more strength, and saves the world. Mike is just the boyfriend, the heart, the guy who gives the speech and stands back while she does the real work. But the more you look at when her powers actually spike, and the more you compare that to how D&D treats clerics, the more it feels like we have missed something huge. I do not think Mike Wheeler is just the emotional support character.
It can't be good for her to be in there for this long.
Mike, you need to relax.
What if she gets brain damage or something? You're treating her like some kind of machine when she's not a machine, and I don't want her to die looking for the flayed when they've obviously vanished off the face of the earth. So can we please just come up with a new plan, because I love her and I can't lose her again.
What's going on?
Nothing.
I think he is Vecna's secret cleric. In D&D, a cleric is not a wizard. They do not study spell books or channel their own raw talent. A cleric's power comes from faith. They make a connection to a higher being, a god, or a dark power, and their spells are granted through that devotion. The more they believe, the more they can do. Their real spell slot is trust. Now go back to Stranger Things and track 11's biggest moments. In season 1, she flips the van when the boys trust her completely and refuse to abandon her. In season 2, she closes the gate after reconnecting with Hopper and seeing that she belongs. In season 3 and 4, her most dramatic surges happen when Mike finally says the quiet part out loud and tells her he loves her, that he needs her, that she is the one. Her power does not just respond to anger, it responds to belief, especially his. Watch the piggyback scene in season 4. 11 is pinned in the mindscape, losing the fight to Vecna. Max is seconds from death. Nothing is working. Then Mike, in the pizza shop, breaks down and finally tells her the full truth. That he has been afraid of losing her. That he has always needed her. That he loves her, not because she is strong, but because she is her.
Elle, I don't know if you can hear this, but if you can, I want you to know I'm here, okay? I'm right here. But the truth is, Elle, I don't know how to live without you. I feel like my life started that day we found you in the woods. You were wearing that yellow Benny's Burgers t-shirt, and it was so big it almost swallowed you whole. And And I knew right then and there, in that moment, that I loved you. And I've loved you every day since. I love you on your good days. I love you on your bad days. I love you with your powers. I love you without your powers. I love you for exactly who you are. You're my superhero. And I can't lose you. Okay? Do you hear me? I can't lose you.
And only then does her power reconnect. In D&D language, that is a cleric channeling divinity. The worshipper focuses their heart on the source, and the source responds. Mike's words are not just sweet, they are a spell focus. So here is the twist. What if that circuit is not safe? What if that emotional line Mike keeps pouring energy down does not go only to 11, but also to the thing that gave her power in the first place? We know her abilities are not natural. Brenner did not grow them, he unlocked them. He tapped into some other plane, some other force, and used children as antennas. 11 is not a standalone generator. She is a channel. If that is true, then every time Mike begs her to be stronger, every time he pushes her to go further, he might be pumping faith into the entire network that Vecna sits on. In D&D, it is dangerous to be a cleric of something you do not understand. The more you pray, the more power your god gets. Even if you are using that power to fight, it still feeds the one on the other end. Mike thinks his devotion belongs only to 11, but the pipeline goes deeper. His belief in her power, his insistence that she is the one who can fix everything, that everything rests on her shoulders, all of that reinforces the same idea Vecna wants to spread. That power is the only answer. That the psychic cord between their world and the Upside Down must stay plugged in, no matter the cost. So here is the theory. Mike Wheeler has been acting like a cleric for 4 seasons without knowing it. His faith does not just keep 11 going, it keeps the system going. It keeps the idea alive that her connection to the Upside Down is necessary, even sacred. And in Stranger Things 5, that has to break. The level 20 problem is simple. You cannot beat Vecna just by pushing more power through the same cord he uses. As long as that connection exists, as long as there is a human cleric feeding belief into psychic power, he has something to manipulate. So Mike's final arc is not about finding a bigger speech. It is about changing what he believes in. He has to stop worshiping the idea of 11 as the all-powerful weapon and start loving her as a person who might need to let that power go. He has to walk right up to the line that has defined their relationship since season 1 and say out loud that he would rather have a world where they live ordinary lives than a world where she keeps burning herself out to save everyone. In practical terms, that could look like this. At the climax, Vecna tries to hijack the connection. He uses Mike's fear and declarations to push 11 past her limits, hoping she will tear the barrier wide open and give him what he wants. He taunts Mike, tells him he is useless without her, tells him the only thing he can do is beg her to try harder. And Mike refuses. He stops playing cleric. He stops praying for more power. He tells 11 she does not need to win by becoming a god. She can win by choosing to cut the cord, to let the power that comes from that other place die with Vecna. His final act of love is not telling her she is the strongest. It is giving her permission to stop. That moment breaks the worship pattern the Upside Down has been feeding on. It takes all that emotional energy that has been flowing toward power and turns it toward sacrifice and acceptance instead. That is the kind of shift that can drain a god. So I do not think Mike's role in the story is just the heart of the party. I think he is the secret cleric who has been unintentionally feeding the system they are fighting. And the only way to beat Vecna is for him to finally close the book on that faith and choose a different ending. Whether you think Mike ends the story with 11 powered up or powerless, tell me in the comments what his last big choice should be. And if you are still watching, drop Cleric Mike down below, so I know you are part of the party.
I will never, ever let anything bad happen to you ever again.
How will you forget that I'm here? I think it's just scary to open up like that.
Since I did that, I felt so free. I just want this to be over.
It's not going to stop. Not until he's taken everything and everyone.
What if Stranger Things has been lying to us about who started all of this? We are all supposed to believe the same story. Will Byers is the first victim. The sweet kid who just wanted to play D&D, got taken by the Upside Down, and spent the rest of the series trying to heal from it. He is the boy everyone is trying to save. But the more you look at how D&D actually works, and the more you look at how perfectly the Upside Down mirrors their campaign, the more a different idea starts to creep in. What if Will is not just the victim of the story? What if, on some level, he is the one who created the story? There is a fan theory that says this out loud. Everything in the Upside Down feels like D&D because it is. Will does not want the game to end. He does not want his friends to grow up, to split apart, to drop the party, and move on. Something answers that desire and builds a world where the game never stops. Will as the villain. Will as the dungeon master who never closes the book. To understand why that hits so hard, you have to look at what a dungeon master really is in D&D. In the game, players control their characters, but the world itself, the monsters, the traps, the rules of reality, all come from one person. The DM. The dungeon master is not just some narrator. They are the god of that table. If they say the sky turns red, it turns red. If they decide the campaign goes on forever, it goes on forever. There is another piece of D&D lore that fits even closer. In settings like Ravenloft, there are places called domains of dread, little pocket worlds created around a single tragic figure. The domain looks like a normal place, but everything in it is shaped by that one person's fears, obsessions, and regrets. Time can loop, events can repeat. The people trapped there never really escape because the world exists to feed the story over and over. Now go back to Stranger Things with that in mind. The Upside Down is not a random hell dimension. It is a copy of Hawkins, frozen on the night Will disappeared. November 6th, 1983. The day his normal life ended. The day the game stopped and reality crashed in. Time does not move there. It is stuck. Just like a domain built around one person's moment of trauma. And what fills that frozen Hawkins? Monsters with D&D names, a Demogorgon, a Mind Flayer, Vecna, all pulled straight from the script of the boys' campaign. The world is not based on some ancient mythology nobody has heard of. It is based on what Will and his friends love most. D&D is not just a fun reference, it is the template. So here is the theory. On that night in 1983, Will is terrified, not just of the thing chasing him, but of something more human. His friends are growing up. Mike is starting to care more about girls. Lucas wants to be cool. Dustin is getting more confident. They all still play, but you can feel the shift. Will is the one who is always left holding on to the game. In D&D terms, he is the heart of the party who never rolled a new life. He wants the adventure to keep going exactly the way it was. He does not want the campaign to end. He does not want the story to wrap up and everyone to go their separate ways. So when the Upside Down reaches for him, it does not just take a boy. It takes a dungeon master. Some force on the other side, whatever you want to call it, grabs onto his fear and his imagination at the same time. It takes his memories of Hawkins, his love for D&D, his dread of losing the party, and uses them as building material. It copies his town, locks it on the night he was taken, fills it with monsters that look like the ones from his game, and makes that into a domain. A domain of Will's dread. That is why he is different from every other victim. Other people die in Vecna's mindscape or get torn apart by Demogorgons. Will comes back changed, cold, connected. He does not just have nightmares. He has a live link in his neck that tingles whenever the Mind Flayer moves. He can feel what the entity wants. He can tell where it is. Everyone says that is because he was possessed. But what if it is because deep down, the Upside Down is his creation? He has admin access. He is its original storyteller. Think about his drawings. In Season 2, he draws the tunnels long before anyone else sees them. In Season 3, he is the one who feels the danger returning before anyone else believes him. He is always 5 pages ahead in the script. That is exactly what a DM is. The DM knows where the dungeon goes, where the monster waits, what the map looks like long before the players get there. Will acts like someone who recognizes his own story, even if he does not remember writing it. There is another detail that fits the domain of dread idea. In those D&D worlds, the villain who shapes the domain suffers too. They are both the jailer and the prisoner. Their greatest wish and their greatest fear get locked together. If they want their lost love back, the domain gives them a ghost that never quite reaches them. If they want revenge, the domain gives them endless enemies, but never real peace. Will's wish is simple. He wants his friends to stay together and keep playing. What does the Upside Down give him? Endless danger that forces the party to reunite. Every season, no matter how far they drift apart, the threat that started with him drags them back to the table, back to Hawkins, back to each other. The game never ends. The campaign keeps going, but it is always hurting him. He never really gets to be happy. He is stuck as the quiet, lonely observer, watching everyone else move forward while he is still pinned to that first night, still feeling the monster in his neck, still drawing maps for a world that will not let him go. That is not the story of a pure victim.
That is the story of a tragic DM who wished too hard for the game to never stop and got exactly what he asked for. Here is the level 20 twist. If Will's fear and desire helped create the Upside Down as a domain of dread, even subconsciously, then beating Vecna is not just about killing a monster. It is about ending the story, ending the campaign, letting the DM close the book.
In D&D lore, a domain of dread only really breaks when the Dark Lord lets go, when they stop clinging to their obsession, when they choose to accept the loss instead of looping it forever. If Will is that figure in Stranger Things, then his final arc is not just about being brave. It is about finally accepting that his friends are going to grow up, that the game cannot last forever,
that the campaign has to end. Imagine Stranger Things 5 leaning into that.
Everyone else is focused on the big moves. 11 powering up, Hopper swinging a sword, Nancy loading another shotgun. But the real battle is quieter. It is Will sitting with the truth that this all started with him. That something used his fear to build a world that trapped everyone.
And in the final moments, he is the one who has to make the choice the Upside Down never wants him to make.
He has to choose to let the party disband.
In practice, that could mean he uses his connection to the Upside Down, not to guide the monster, but to shut the whole thing down from inside. He takes the domain that was built around his dread and rejects it. He chooses to let the story end, even if that means he forgets, or loses his powers, or even dies. Because if you are the DM of a nightmare campaign you never meant to start, the bravest thing you can do is close the book and say, that is enough. So I do not think this theory makes Will a cartoon villain twirling a mustache in the shadows.
It makes him something much more tragic and interesting. The hidden dungeon master whose fear of losing the game gave birth to the Upside Down, and the only person who can finally end it by accepting that the best stories do not go on forever. Whether you want Will to be the secret villain or the tragic DM who saves everyone at the end, tell me in the comments what you think his final choice should be. And if you are still watching, drop "End the Game" down below so I know you are part of the party.